All right, everybody. Good morning, afternoon, or evening, depending on when you are viewing this video. We're going to have another, hopefully shorter webinar for you to talk about creating a link from Wiser to a database to collect data from your site. And just going to work through that. It's a pretty simple process, but it can be nice to illustrate how exactly it would be done. And so we're actually going to be working in the server today, which is a little different. Usually we are talking about the front end application that most people are going to be familiar with and use on site. We're actually talking about the back end server. This is something that's going to be installed usually on a virtual machine, virtual local area network in your facility. It can also be hosted via cloud. And this will be generating all the points. So Wiser will have helped set this up, get your floor plan in, load all that sort of stuff. And so that is the screen that we're looking at currently. And in this screen, we have a few options I'll go through to get the raw data out of a live view and into something that we can historically analyze. And the easiest way to do that is through a database link. So if you're hearing database and your alarm bells are going off, think of it more like a very fancy Excel spreadsheet or a CSV. So we have built in a tool here, so we can click in Wiser itself and we can say, hey, we can link directly to any of these sorts of databases. An ODBC is an open database connector, and that basically allows you to port this to really any type of database you have. For now, to keep it simple and easy, we're just going to use SQLite. It's kind of one of the most easy entry ways to do this. So all I'm going to do is select SQLite, and I'm going to create a file name. Wiser will then create this file. So let's make it make sense, right? Let's say like tag data, something like that. And it will create a table internal to this database file. You can think of that like a tab in a spreadsheet. So we'll just say all tag data, right? And push delay really makes more sense when you have a lot of tags and a lot of data, but what that means is how often that data is transmitted from this Wiser server to the database that's collecting it. So I'm gonna have that as a shorter amount of seconds now, just so we don't have to wait so long. But usually on site, every 30 seconds or every 60 seconds or something like that, in order to have your big data chunks go over time, not constantly every second. So let's make sure we are creating that. We are. So I could say, all right, I've created a database file. Wiser will automatically push it to that. Let's go ahead and make some dots here. I never get tired of seeing this. So I'm just gonna pop in the mesh here. We're just gonna wait for some dots to show up. And then once there's dots on the map, we are generating data. At that point, we could choose to view that data, right? We could say, I want to open up my front end and view this data and search and find, right? Everything you're used to. But that data, now that we made that database link, that data is also being sent to that file. And so in order to see that, we're going to go to where Wiser's installed, right? So Wiser is installed in this folder here, and you'll notice DB Browser for SQLite. There's a reason that we put this in all of the server packages. That is because you can open this and then open up DB Browser for SQLite, and then you have the ability to just natively open and manipulate and change these as if it was an Excel file, right? You can even export it as a CSV and make it an Excel file, right? So I'm going to say open, and I'm going to go in here and find my file that I made, which I believe I called tag data. There it is. So I'm going to open that up, and I can actually go in and browse the data here. Now, we have a lot of tags in the office, but this is essentially what all this data is coming through live, right? We know that it's in the office. We know its X and its Y and its Z position. We know its timestamp. We know what zone it's in, right? And we'll make a video right after this one describing those sorts of zones. But all this information is displayed to you. From here, there's a lot of different options. You can, of course, take this and graph it and chart it, all that sort of things. But I just wanted to make a video that basically shows a very easy way to go from a live map view to a historical analysis of these points. Same system, comes inherently built in. You're just going to want to use history database right here. So it's as simple as that. Just wanted to kind of walk you guys through that. So from here, I'll make another video on zones, and we'll keep on moving from there. Thanks.